Hi, this is Kathy with Decal Pals on Etsy, and today we're going to talk about the player number designs that you see in the listing on your screen. This is a way for you to easily make these professional looking sports designs with your player's favorite number, and really whether you're making 1 or 12 or 20, the process is so easy that you will really enjoy making them, and they are very impressive because, as you see, around each number there's a little border, and we're going to use the files to make that design, and it's very easy and yet has a very sophisticated look to it once it's done. Now what you get in the listing will be 4 ball images for the 4 different sports, or actually 5: baseball and softball, basketball, football, and soccer. And then you'll get the numbers 0 through 9 in 3 different fonts. The secret to this design, though, is what you see here that's represented by the green. This is a second part to the design of each number that will help us carve out what we want cut out of these designs, and then we will superimpose the number back into the design, and it'll have that nice little border around it. So without any further ado, let's get to Brother Scan and Cut and I'll show you how to do it. You have downloaded the zip files that come with the listing, and you have extracted the files and stored them somewhere on your computer. You've opened Scan and Cut Canvas, and you have a new project mat, and you're ready to go. So we're going to select SVG, choose File. Now I've given you the FCM files and the SVG, but let's use the SVG, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So we're going to do Baseball Silhouette, and the font number. Each file will have the sport and the font number. And so I'm going to choose Baseball Softball Silhouette and font number 1, open, and OK. And here's what you'll see in the file. Every file has the ball that is appropriate for that, and then the different font. So what you want to do first is decide what numbers you're going to use, and for this I'm going to use 3 first. I'm going to go zen on you here for just a minute. You know, there are many paths to the same destination in life, and so it is on Scan and Cut Canvas. There are many ways to do the very same thing, but today I'm going to ask you to use, for the most part, a particular method to select your images, and that is the clicking and dragging, where you click above the images that you want to select, and then holding your left mouse key down, you drag across the edges of the images. And if you could see there, as I did that, we got 2 boxes. One around the black image, which will ultimately be the number in the design, and then one around our cutting template. So we want to now right click on that and group it and move it out of the way. And I'm going to choose 1 for my other design. So I'm going to click anywhere out of a design to deselect everything, and then again choose this, right click, group, and move it up here. Now I'm going to select all the other designs, all the other numbers, because I don't need them anymore, and delete, or you could have deleted here. And at this point I'm going to save this file because I want to make sure that if the dog steps on the power strip and turns it off, or the transformer goes out in the neighborhood, or whatever, for whatever reason, I've got this, so far I've got it saved. So I'm going to call this I'm going to click in the project title box, call it Baseball 3-1, and then I'm going to save it on the cloud here with Scan and Cut. And isn't this a wonderful new feature of the update of February 11th, 2016? We can access our projects right here. So here's my project if I need to close the window and go back. So now we're going to work to put these numbers exactly where we want them. And keep in mind when you're looking at this that the green is going to go away. So in thinking about your spacing, you don't want to look at the edges of the green, because if you were to do that and then we go through the rest of the process, these numbers are going to look a little too far apart. So what you're going to want to think about are the black images. And usually if you just kind of overlap the width of the cut template, it'll be about right. So you can see that this is right almost to the black there. So I'm going to select both of these, and to make sure, you can see they're not even here across the bottom. So to make sure they're level across the bottom, I'm going to choose Edit, Align, Bottom, and I like that. And now I'm going to group those two together so that they all act as one object. And I'm going to Fit to Content. Now we're going to bring this over here about the size. While I'm thinking about it, don't worry about the size, because the last thing we'll do is put it to the right size for your project. So right now we're just worried about keeping the right proportions, but later we will size it for your particular project. I'm going to put this over here and kind of see how I like it. You don't have to go to the lower right hand corner. You can do it up here, down here, in the middle, wherever you want it. But let me caution you about something you kind of need to keep an eye on. You kind of want to watch your edges in a design like this, because if you were to, for instance, put it right here, that might look kind of awkward with that little tiny piece showing. So you kind of want to make sure that you don't have any little tiny gaps or little tiny pieces showing, so that your machine will do a better cut on it. So I might place it right here, and then I'm going to ungroup the first one and then click outside and then ungroup each individual number. And this works with 3 numbers as well. You just do it 3 times and have 3 numbers. Now I want to move the black ones off of the field. So now I'm going to use a different method to select images other than the click and drag. But I want to caution you, and maybe it's just me, but when I am in a hurry and I'm moving the mouse to select something, if I don't stop the mouse before I select it and move it, and that's what we don't want to do, because everything's in alignment and we want to keep it that way. So make sure your mouse is steady, click on the black, hold down your shift key, mouse is steady, click on the black, and group, click on your right and group. Now we want to move those out of the way, and now we want to choose this green and this, holding down the shift key, this green, and we want to weld those two together. And now we want to select both of these, and you can see they've got the boxes around them. That means they're selected. And we want to subtract whatever's on top will be cut out of what's on bottom. And there you go. So now we're ready to move this back into place. And you're almost done. Wasn't that easy? Now let me talk about another thing here, though. If you're cutting all of this out in one color, you might want to think about this little piece right here. Let me show you what I mean. If, let's say, we're going to do the numbers in red. I'm changing the numbers to red. This little piece would obviously belong to the back that is another color. But if you look here, that might be a little confusing. So I personally would take that out, and here's how we do that. I'm going to move the numbers back out of the way. I'm going to go to Basic, Shapes, and I'm going to choose a rectangle. And then I'm going to select the rectangle with my cursor in the crosshairs, and I'm going to just barely cover that little piece that I want to take out. And again, select both pieces and right click and subtract, and now it's gone. And now when you look at the 31, your eye is not going to be as confused about what you're seeing, and I think that's a cleaner design. So now we're ready to do the final sizing. So we're going to select both pieces and we're going to group, and let's pull out to the mat. So you can see the design is 3 inches tall by almost 3 1/4 inches wide, And here's where you're going to determine what size you want it ultimately. So go to whatever space you need to fill, or decide whatever you want the final size to be. And go to the properties box and make sure this is checked. You want to maintain the aspect ratio, which means it's going to grow as big one way as it does the other and maintain its proportion. Type 5 here and hit enter, and there you are. Your design is the size that you need it. If you're going to do 2 colors, you would ungroup, move this over to another part of the mat, and you're ready to download and take it to your machine and cut. If you enjoyed this video, I wish you'd give it a thumbs up if you think you learned anything from it. If you have any questions about the listing or the process, please leave a comment in the appropriate place below, and I will be glad to get back to you on that. And I always like to see what my buyers do with the projects that they make, so I'd love for you to share a picture of what you do with this design. This is Kathy with Decal Pals on Etsy, and keep cutting and stay happy.